Yo, what is going on, guys? This is Beanie and welcome back to another video. 2 days ago we talked about how to fix DD, how to make DD great again, and today we're going to be talking about the gameplay side of it. And instead of doing like a top 10 list, I don't think I could put these like in any order because I think all of them are kind of important, but I just made like a few points that we're going to go over, and they're not going to be in any particular order. And I'm gonna break it down into like a fielding, a pitching, a hitting, and then I have one general thing that I think needs to be fixed. It doesn't fit in any of those categories. But anyways, guys, let's go ahead and jump into it. Okay, guys, first we're gonna start out with fielding, and the first thing that I think needs to be fixed is there are just way too many dropped fly balls, like pop flies. Like, you virtually never see a fly ball. You know, you may see a line drive here or there, something dropped in the MLB, but just like a pop fly on the infield, unless there's like miscommunication between teammates or a guy loses it in the light or something like that, you hardly ever see drop fly balls. And you see it a lot in this game. Like, I would say it probably happens once every 1, 2, maybe 3 games, and that's too high of a clip. It should be extremely rare that you drop a pop fly, and pretty rare that if you get to a fly ball comfortably, like even if it's a line drive or something, pretty rare that you even drop those, even if you're trying to catch it on the run. It doesn't happen very often. The second thing that I'm going to talk about when it comes to fielding is Infielder Urgency. Now, they did fix a lot of that this year. It is much better this year than it was last year. Last year, the way the infielders, it was very exploitable. They were so slow, like throwing the ball and stuff like that, but there's still a lot that needs to be fixed. A lot of times, like a guy, you know, if a guy gets into a rundown, or a guy can run halfway to second base and turn around and go back and not even worry about getting thrown out, because infielders, it seems like it takes them a good 3 to 4 seconds once they catch a ball to get rid of it. That is not realistic. As soon as a guy, like if that happened in real life, as soon as a guy caught it, it would be out of his glove and in the first baseman's mitt, and that guy would be out. But in this game, you know, they have to go through this whole rigmarole, this whole animation before they get there. They need to add a few quicker animations of guys getting the ball out of their glove quicker. Now, I will say that, like, on ground balls and stuff, I haven't had too many problems, you know, getting that guy out at first, and they do a pretty good job of, like, timing that up, syncing that up to where it's fairly realistic. But when it comes to other things, like a little bit rarer situations, it seems like they have a lot of work to do in that field. Okay, the third bullet point is catcher play. And this is just kind of like how the catcher plays in general. One, they miss a lot of pop flies, more than other positions even. Like a lot of times they just get caught in like this, it's like they're caught in the middle of this animation and not an animation, and they miss it, and it's really frustrating because that's an easy out. And you know, they don't throw runners out at a high enough clip, like even the good ones. I think, you know, that they need to do a bit of a better job of letting the catcher keep that runner in check. You know, stealing is like a little bit too easy in my opinion. I don't know, maybe some of you guys disagree with that, but in my opinion it is. And you know, sometimes on those like dribblers out in front of the plate, the catcher can be really slow to get there. And I'm talking about like the good catchers, the bad catchers, all that. Like they're not very good. Like that's why I don't think catcher defense is like super important. Like, you can tell a little bit of a difference, but it's not big enough that I think that, you know, you need to go out there and look for catcher defense over offense or anything like that. Okay, and the fourth and final bullet point with fielding is the way the outfield runs to balls. Now, early in the year, it felt like your outfielder was being held back by someone whenever they were running. Like, they'd run full speed, and then all of a sudden they'd go to half speed, and it was ridiculous. That's been fixed largely, but still it's kind of inconsistent. Sometimes your outfielders will be like, they'll be running in grass, and then all of a sudden they're running in sand. It doesn't happen as often as it did, but it's still kind of an issue. And And there's also the issue of, it seems like your guys are more consistent catching the ball. If you, you know, Millennium calls it feathering the stick. If you feather the stick and kind of meet the ball like whenever it's coming down, instead of running to the spot and kind of perching under it, that's kind of a weird thing. Like, I don't know, outfield defense is just kind of finicky still. They still have a little bit of work to do, not a ton. They've done a pretty good job with it, but a little bit. There needs to be a little bit of work done. Okay, now moving on to pitching. I don't have too many gripes with pitching. For the most part, I think pitching is handled pretty good. I only have 2 points, and one of them could really be classified under batting. But the first one is, we just need a more consistent strike zone. The variable pitch strike zone or whatever is fine, but it needs to be a little bit more consistent. Like, you need to be able to figure out in the first, you know, inning or two if the umpire is going to be calling, you know, high-low, but he's not going to be calling east to west as much, or, you know, just something like that. Also, they need, in my opinion, I think they need to add pitch framing as an attribute for the catchers. That would make catcher defense a little bit more intrinsic, a little more nuanced or whatever. And it would also allow the hitter to know if they need to expand their zone or not. Like, if a guy has 99 pitch framing, then he's going to be really good at stealing those strikes, and the hitter is going to know that, and they're going to know that they need to be a little bit more aggressive at the plate. But if they have really low pitch framing, then it might, you know, the strike zone might contract, and the hitter can know that he can be a little bit more patient. So I think that that's something that they definitely need to add. The next point can kind of be classified under hitting because it affects the hitter more than the pitcher, but it is you doing the pitching, and that's lag pitches. Even if you can't see it yourself whenever you're pitching, a lot of times if it's a laggy game, there will be like teleport pitches. Like, it'll be going right down the middle, and then all of a sudden it'll fly over your head, and it's this really weird thing. And a lot of times it'll happen, and you know, there'll be a pitch right down the middle that gets called for a ball. A lot of times, you know, the hitter is seeing something different. Even if you hit your interface and it went to the right spot and everything, it's a very, very odd thing that needs to be fixed. And I don't really know how they're going to go about doing that, but something in the programming is screwed up because it looks really bad most of the time. Or not most of the time, a lot of the time. You know, if it's a laggy game, it's going to do that a lot. Okay, now moving on to hitting. Hitting is a little tougher because a lot of people, it's definitely messed up. Something is wrong with the hitting, and a lot of people really hate it right now, but a lot of people kind of like it. I've noticed a lot of people like it. Is a little bit more simulation style right now. Earlier in the year, it was ridiculous. I mean, you were getting very late hits that had 115 mile per hour exit velocities and going 500 feet. It was insane. It was totally fucked up. They fixed it, but I think they kind of over-fixed it. I think that they kind of over-corrected, and now it feels like a lot of stuff is nerfed. So we're going to talk about hitting a little bit, and the first point that I think needs to be addressed is we just need a more consistent PCI. Right now, you know, they changed to the buckshot where your feedback is buckshot, but it still looks pretty inconsistent. Sometimes I'll have a ball that my PCI was just like slightly above, and instead of being like a hard hit ground ball or a low line drive or something, it'll be a fly out or a home run or something weird like that. It's very inconsistent. And then sometimes I'll get under it and it'll be a ground ball or a low line drive. It's very, very inconsistent right now, and that needs to be changed. There needs to be, they need to have like quadrants within the strike zone or within the PCI, and you know, if you hit the ball in one of those quadrants, there's a certain number of outcomes that can happen within that quadrant depending on like timing, pitch location, stuff like that. That's the way that I think they need to go about it. Right now, I don't think they have that. I think it's sort of random because it's very inconsistent right now. Maybe the feedback is wrong, I don't know, but something needs to be done about that. Okay, and now the one that everybody really, really harps on a lot, and that is the late and early and the good timing. And is good timing nerfed? Is late timing, is it not penalized enough? Are you actually rewarded for late timing? Basically, what I think needs to happen is for late hits and early hits, there needs to be some sort of penalty. Even like for just late, you know, it's a certain penalty, it's like a certain percentage, and then for just regular late, it's a higher percentage, and then very late, it's an extremely, you know, harsh penalty. And then same thing going the other way with early hits and stuff like that. And then I think good timing needs to be rewarded more. Good timing right now, if there's a pitch on the inside corner and you get good timing, you have no idea how many times I've hit the ball fairly hard, but it's been foul. Like, I can't remember the last time that I had good timing on an inside pitch and it went fair. I can't remember it. Most of the time, the best idea whenever there's an inside fastball or something is to try to be just late on it, because you're gonna have it's gonna go fair. A lot of times you'll hit a line drive. A lot of times the exit velocity will be higher. It's pretty crazy right now. And I think they need to change the wording a little bit. Because I think a lot of times, like if there's a pitch on the outside corner and you get it just late, you'll be rewarded for that, but people will be like, oh man, that's a just late hit. But I think that kind of needs to be changed to good timing, because obviously if there's a pitch on the outside corner, you're going to want to let the ball ride in on you a little bit more so you can, slap it out in the right field or left field or whatever. And so I think the wording needs to be changed, because I think there's a lot of confusion with that. But definitely late hits on the inside corner and stuff, that's what they need to nerf. And then good timings on those pitches need to be rewarded way, way more. And that kind of leads me into my next point. Just balance the exit velocities, really. Exit velocities right now are... at the beginning of the year, like I said, they were crazy high. Like everything you hit was 120 miles per hour. And now it seems like you have to absolutely, center green one with a power swing, and maybe you'll get it over 100. The exit velocities are so nerfed right now. And it seems like the best way to get high exit velocity is to be late on a pitch, and that is crazy. That has to change. That's a ridiculous way to play the game, and I'm sure that there are like a lot of lower ranked people who don't have quick bats that are happy about it because they're hitting the ball a lot harder. But it's ridiculous for the ones who are good at the game to have to completely change the way they approach their at bats in order to get good rewards hitting. I don't know, it's crazy, man. And then the final point is something I don't hear a lot of people talk about much, but right now it is way too easy to foul pitches off, like crazy easy. It is so hard to strike guys out. Like I have had my PCI not like 2 feet away from where the ball was, and I've still somehow managed to foul it off. And sometimes I'll be very early with my PCI nowhere near the ball, and I'll still somehow foul it off. It's completely unrealistic. I mean, it should be pretty difficult to foul a pitch off. Like a foul should constitute you just missed it with your PCI, like barely, and your timing was just off just a little bit. But if it's off by more than just that little bit, that's a strikeout. You got to give me the strikeout right there, because that's crazy. Like, and people should not be able to foul off pitches in the dirt as often as they do. They shouldn't be able to foul off pitches at their ears as often as they do. It's crazy. Like, it is way, way too easy to foul off pitches, and I don't hear that many people complaining about that, but it is a huge problem. And then finally, guys, we're going to just talk about this last little thing, and it's just a general policy when it comes to freezes and to like really laggy games and stuff like that. Right now, if you get in a freeze, it's basically, who quits first gets the loss. I think they need to put some sort of system in place. It'd be nice if they could put a system in place where, whoever is winning at the time of the freeze gets the win, but that would probably be too hard to do. So I think if a game freezes, then then it should just be a draw. Like, nobody should get the win. They need to figure out a way to identify those games that ended in freezes to where, the person can just quit out. It's no win, that they can queue the game up or whatever. Nobody gets the win. Everybody walks away happy. I guess if you're winning, you're not too happy about that, but it's better than getting the loss. And I think that that's something that they have to do. You know, right now MLB has a really... they do a really poor job of whenever there is like a faulty game, a game with a lot of lag, or a game where the guy is, you know, griefing a lot or something like that. They really don't have any system in place to address that, and they need one badly, because it can be really frustrating to get into a game like that and then get the loss. You know, it hasn't happened to me a ton this year, but it has happened a ton to other people where they've gotten in freeze games and stuff like that and gotten the loss, or had to sit there a day to get them a win, and they want to play the game. You know, that's a really frustrating thing to do. But anyways, guys, that is going to do it for this episode. I told you guys I was going to do the gameplay soon, so that was it. If there's anything, I might do a part 2 to this, because I feel like I may have left some things out that I just didn't have time to think about. Maybe I got some stuff wrong. Let me know in the comments, and I'll try to fix that. I'll try to address it, you know, whatever. But anyways, guys, that is going to do it. I will see y'all tomorrow, maybe later today if they come out with some new content. I don't know if they will. They're at E3 right now, so we'll see. Anyways, guys, I will see y'all later. Peace!